selfless. Through this spiritual journey that we've been on, we've been trying to do that, although not always successful in my ways. But we try, we struggle, we move forward, and this is why we have chosen this lifestyle. This is why we have a unique perspective on things. By studying human behavior, you can come to the exact same conclusions that we have come to by studying how humans behave and the consequences of that behavior. You will see certain cycles and patterns in life. There are basically 4 seasons in life. There is much hidden knowledge and much forbidden knowledge buried in Scripture by all of the prophets, for they were all inspired by the same power source. So we tend not to focus on any religion. They're all good, they all lead to the same place, so whichever one a person wants to pick, they can go ahead and feel free to pick. Of course, we have used Christianity as a vehicle to get spiritually where we are, but they all do the same thing. So we're not here to push any certain viewpoint on anybody. We can take counsel with anybody in any religion, and actually when we attempt to give spiritual advice, we even try to leave religion out of it altogether. It's not necessary to get a person involved in religion for them to do the right thing and think the right thing and be the right person. So we try not to scare away anybody who doesn't want to believe in something that they can't see. Of course, there are spiritual people out there who don't believe in God, but they act more righteous than some people who do believe in God. And what the Lord sees is the person processing energy properly? Is it just creating negative, or is he creating positive energy? These are the things that are important, not necessarily belief. Religion cannot save you, but obeying religion may save you by the grace of the Lord, of course. So it doesn't matter how much Scripture you know, how well you know the Bible, or whatever Bible it may be. It's, can you follow it? Can you become selfless? Can you become forgiving? These are the things that make us human and virtuous, and these are the things that we must protect, but seem to have lost our focus in this modern day and age of technology and fast transportation. Other than that,
could I ask you a few questions just out of curiosity?
Yes, go ahead, brother.
Again, feel free if you don't want to answer. I would like to know, well, I guess you had a normal life until 10 years ago, because you had a job and you were a technician. What really triggered this inner revolution? And I know something evolved within you. So how can you pinpoint that the first glimpse of light coming? I know this is an ongoing process, but sometimes triggers. Can you recall what brought you to where you are?
Yes. There was a time in my life when I was living the so-called quote-unquote normal life. But it was time, the decision was made spiritually that it had to end. So through certain circumstances in my life, I basically ended up losing everything and was persecuted by the powers that be. Anyways, I ended up homeless, ended up giving up on society and civilization altogether, and I wanted to live up on this mountain over here. Over there, actually. Little white. So that was my life fantasy, I guess, to get away from the humans and live on top of a mountain in a log cabin. I finally built that log cabin, and the Lord showed me that He didn't want me hiding up in the mountains, so He burned the mountain down. And right after it burned my log cabin, the fire was put out by the rain. So it was like a clear message from the Lord that He didn't want me hiding. That's why I disagree with monks hiding in monasteries. They should be visible out in the community among the population, so that someone who is perhaps seeking some sort of advice or comfort can say, oh, there's a monk, can go take counsel with them. They're not going to try to take advantage of us in any way or manipulate or control us. And anyone can feel comfortable speaking to them for whatever spiritual needs they have, or maybe even physical, depending. So what happened to me had to happen to me for me to be here right now. I had to lose everything so that I can gain everything spiritually. How does a man profit when he gains everything he wants in the world but loses his soul? So there has to be a reverse to that. you have to basically lose everything to gain your soul again. So it all depends upon the person, of course. How far do they walk in the darkness? How far over do they go into the dark side, basically?
But there's always a hope anyway for people, no matter how far they've gone, they can turn the wheel back and have a U-turn and
Yes.
walk or drive towards the Lord.
Well,
The door is always open, from my understanding.
the Force does not take anything personally. It's not a man. It doesn't think like a man. It doesn't have envy or jealousy or anger. These are all evil human qualities. So to the Lord, it's not personal. It's just business. Things have to happen in order to fulfill a purpose, which is the expansion of the light of the universe. So I had to end up basically on the streets with nothing, and I had to start from there. And I had to take the vows of a monk and live in poverty and accept persecution, accept people mocking me, whatever, making fun of me, laughing at me. That was my crucifixion, and still is to this day how I execute the darkness within, how I destroy my ego, is by doing the exact opposite of what I want to do. And what I naturally want to do is punch people out for mocking me or laughing at me. It's what anybody wants to do naturally, but we must go above that, beyond that, and destroy all those desires and thoughts. Even thinking a bad thought about a person, and especially if they're looking at them, you're transferring negative energy to that person. There are people out there who cannot process negative energy properly, so they're always sending it out to other people. You'll see them in traffic honking their horns, or maybe yelling or swearing, and they're giving people the finger for cutting them off, or whatever it may be. This is a non-functioning unit, and eventually the units that don't function properly will become hurting units, and they will suffer the plagues of Egypt. They will suffer great torment, if not in this life, in the next life, because it is not our memory that goes with us when we die to the next life. It is our virtue or our ego, one or the other. If that ego isn't destroyed properly in this life to generate more light to be enjoyed in the next life, then that ego is going to be destroyed in the beginning of the next life. There will be no happy childhood. There will be no fun and games. So it's up to you, whichever path you want to walk, whatever destiny you wish to choose. But of course, even the normal life, even obeying the law, you can still generate negative energy. And eventually, it's got to be destroyed. And of course, you can spread out your light, you can spread out your happiness, you can be happy here and there, a little depressed here and there. You can take your spiritual medicine a little bit every day and convert a little bit of darkness to light every day. Or you can save the suffering and the sacrifice all to one great tribulation in your life. Could be anything: a divorce, car accident, poverty even. There's people that we've met on the streets who actually were rich people at one time. And when you're a rich person, of course, the Lord has nothing against you. Again, it's not personal. But rich people live in self-gratification. Their desires are usually fulfilled whenever they want to have them. And of course, some people exploit others to become rich. No matter how we exploit others, whatever subtle form it may be, a high rent or a low-paying job or whatever it may be, it's all remembered. Every thought is taken account of. It's recorded spiritually by the Lord. And that's what he looks at when judgment is decided, and that negative energy has to be sent back to the person. So it's true, what goes around comes around. The Lord is paying attention. It knows, it thinks independently from us, and it chooses our fate, and is ultimately in control, although